Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Every time I start talking about boxing, a white man got full rockin' my piano out there.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward.
Oh, this hard got network being this good.
One more again, see what I take on your front set, I swear.
You ain't my daddy, are you?
There's gonna be consequences and repercussions.
What time is it? Game time.
Okay, welcome to the Don't Be Blasé podcast. We are coming to you live from the House of Pain, otherwise known as Snap Fitness in the Adelaide CBD. I'm your host, Speaker Owana, joined as always by my man, Steve Burrows.
Hello.
Before we get started, I'd like to thank our sponsor. Go see the boys in Larry and Ladd. Go see the boys in Region Arcade, get yourself an awesome coffee and listen to some pretty sweet tunes. But for now, on with the show. Now, Steve,
Yep.
we're going to talk about the NBA to start with. It's a bit of big day because we're recording on Friday. It's the end of the trade deadline and a lot of things have moved. But before we get into the trades and all the excitement and all that sort of stuff, Steve,
Yeah.
can we have a moment of silence
For what?
for Chris Stapp's knee?
Oh.
I said a moment of silence. Shut up.
I'm
It's really
sorry,
hurting me, Steve.
I know, sorry, but
Not only have I lost my unicorn, my
Yeah.
precious Chris Stapps, Tim Hardaway also is might as well be out of the league.
yeah, okay.
He had Giannis jump all over him.
Oh, that dunk.
Yeah, over the top of his head.
Oh, no.
Teabagged his face.
Teabag.
And you'd have to punch a guy after that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, just all walk off. Just
Yeah,
walk off
just-
and never be seen again.
Yeah, so it's just been a rough week.
Yeah.
The Knicks are my second team.
Yeah, how's that going?
And it's been rough.
Remember when Melo was the problem, inverted commas, problem?
Yeah.
How's that
Yep.
going? Yeah,
Well,
all the haters out there,
They were doing okay.
they were doing okay.
They were doing
see?
okay.
And Melo.
And Chris Stapps, poor, sweet, innocent Chris Stapps.
But the decline was,
6 pound, 4 ounce baby Chris Stapps. he's gone.
Yeah,
Steve.
he's done, man. For 12 months, probably,
Oh,
maybe less.
The problem is, it's like they say 10 months, but it's 12 minimum. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's 10 months these days for a 6 foot guy.
Yeah, sure.
He's 7'3".
Yeah.
That knee is going to take a long time to recover before he can get back to. But he won't even be half the player he was
Yeah.
until about halfway through next season. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you pinned your hopes on him, and it's over, man. The dream is over. The dream is done. But until the Knicks are shot.
Oh, the Knicks are a
They
mess. They went and traded away Willie Hernan-Gomez, who was
Yeah, where did he go? Because I rate him.
he was good, and he was like their third center. But it's just like, okay, so Chris Stapps is out, so he's probably going to get more minutes. No, let's trade him to the Hornets
Oh, okay.
for 2 second-round picks
Okay.
that we hope could be as good as Hernan-Gomez, who was a second-round pick. So explain that to me, if you can. But-
man.
and then they traded today for Emmanuel Mudiay.
Oh, yeah, I
Which
saw
is
that.
almost saying that the Frank Ntilikina pick maybe not that good,
Okay.
and they've now traded for another. They're just a mess.
Yeah, they are.
Since Patrick Ewing left the building,
Yeah.
they've been a mess. And they had that one good year with Melo and a very very old Jason Kidd
Yeah.
and the greatest player in NBA history, J.R. Smith. But since then, it's just been an absolute dumpster fire. It's just, and before them, it was pretty shoddy times as well. It's just since Ewing's left the building, they've actually been no good.
Yeah, that's right. And, who also is not very good is Cleveland. Cleveland also not very good.
Well, we don't know yet now because this is, like I said, post-trade deadline. Cleveland wasn't very good. And then they went and pretty much went, let's just change the entire team.
Yeah.
And they've traded out 6 blokes, brought in 4 new ones.
Yeah.
That's just, you can't say they're no good because it's like, well, we don't even know what they're like.
They were no good yesterday.
They were great yesterday. They won an
Oh,
overtime.
sorry, the day before yesterday.
Day before that, they were dreadful.
They lost against Orlando.
Yeah.
First team, I think, in history to score 40 points and then a 9-point quarter
Yeah,
in the
the
same
other team
game.
to have, that highest.
Something crazy like
Yeah,
that.
highest points ever and then scoring less than 10.
10, yeah.
Wasn't great.
No, it was terrible. But LeBron backed it up with a really good performance
Oof,
yesterday. It
very
was
good.
killer.
Very, very good.
That block at the end and then
Oof.
the fadeaway
The fadeaway.
jump shot was ridiculous.
My favourite bit of that was, if you can see the footage of it, not only does he get the block, and then the ball goes to J.R. Smith,
Yeah.
who starts having a sudden rush of blood to the
He
head,
did, didn't he?
and just takes about 3 steps down the
Yeah.
court really quickly, then realises, oh shit, what the fuck am I doing? And then
Yeah.
calls timeout. Because there was about 3 seconds on the clock when he grabbed the rebound,
That's right.
and then there was only 1 second left before
Yeah.
he took the shot. I was like, JR, what are you doing? I love you, but what are you doing?
But 1 second's enough, man. That was amazing. It was a long ball.
Yeah,
LeBron-
the catch, spin, yeah.
Yeah, that was killer,
It
man.
was Christian Leitner-esque.
Oh, for Luke, yeah,
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was. No, that was killer, man. But yeah, Cleveland, I'm interested to see how they go now.
I'm very intrigued because they did take a couple of the boys from my Lakers. You know, getting Clarkson. Clarkson I knew was going to go. I'm going to be interested to see how he goes because the problem with Cleveland is it's very, like you were saying, like last year when we talked about it, how LeBron bottle feeds everybody. So LeBron has the ball, LeBron does this, LeBron does. Now, Clarkson's one of those guys, he can score, he can light it up. He's a point guard, shoot guard, kind of in the mix there. But he needs the ball in his hand. So he's not really like a spot-up shooter, you know, and like he scores all his points mostly unassisted. So it's going to be interesting to see how he fits in there. Larry Nance, I have no problems with. Larry Nance, I loved, and I'm a little bit gutted that he's gone because I had a big thing for Larry Nance Jr. Although everyone's like, oh, sucked in, you're going to Cleveland. He's like, I'm from Cleveland.
Oh, is he really?
His dad played for Cleveland.
Of course he
Yeah,
did.
his dad played for Cleveland like half of his life. Like he was born and raised in Cleveland. So he's like, he's going home. It doesn't really bother him, you know, but just everyone in LA would be like, Cleveland.
I've been to Cleveland.
Yeah.
I told you my story.
Yes.
Yeah, it's no LA, as far as, you know.
Yeah, but, you know, and if you're from there, it's your hometown.
Yeah,
you know,
I guess,
like most people probably like,
Adelaide
they do the same thing about us. But
Yeah.
Adelaide is exceptional. So let's not compare it to like shitty Cleveland or anything. You know, we don't have Bone Thugs, but we have the Hilltop Hoods. All right, and
right.
they're just as good, really.
Okay. That's another topic.
Yeah, but then, I mean, the thing that worries me now is what happens to the remains of Isaiah Thomas?
Yes, that's sad, isn't it? That's really sad. To be, second all NBA team,
Yep.
30 points a game.
He was a dark horse MVP came out last year.
And now, what do you play? 12, 13, 14, 15, something like that, games. He was never good in any of those games.
Oh, no, he was dreadful for
No,
Cleveland.
you know, terrible. So, yeah, I know. And then he's going to go to Lakers, and they don't want him. So, you know, at the end of the year, he's probably gonna.
And the thing is, he's out of contract at the end of the year, and there's no real interest for anyone to really pick him up because you've seen a lot of his deficiencies now. Now, I don't know whether it's because he's got a bad attitude or if it's the hip thing. Because, you know, like, a hip injury is a big deal in the NBA. It's something like, for a guy that's small like him that has to rely on being fairly crafty, if he loses some of his lateral movement, he's pretty well done.
That happened to Derrick Rose, man.
Yeah.
Derrick Rose lost once he did his knee, and he did his knee again.
Yep.
But once he lost explosiveness, he just...
Oh, he was nothing. Yeah, because
not
he was
the same.
an average shooter at best.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, like he was at one stage one of the most athletic people in the world, which is what fills me with a bit of fear about Russell Westbrook because he plays the same style. He's so aggressive and so fast and so athletic. If Russell Westbrook ever, God forbid, hurts himself, he is in some serious trouble because he doesn't have much of a game to rely on other than the fact that he is just 10 times faster than everybody else.
Yeah, and I hate that pull-up three-point jump shot he does. It's absolutely terrible.
It's like watching the one guy that you hate playing with in your rec league team. It's just a chucker. He's just like,
he's a chucker.
And he absolutely just takes contested shot after contested shot. You know, like, okay, I make fun of the fact that I love J.R. Smith, but I would back him to take a contested jump shot better than Russell Westbrook. And I don't care he doesn't score the points, as many points as a game, but he's a shooter. And you know he's a shooter because he's a streaky shooter. He's going to get really hot, he's going to get really cold. Russell, you don't even know. He just chucks it.
Yeah.
And you can always tell the sign of somebody with no confidence in their jump shot because our boy Ben Simmons does the same thing.
Yeah.
But if they shoot a shot and then their first instinct to do
get rebounds.
is to go chase it in, you know, because I've done that myself. You know, I've been pulled up, you know, drive in, pull up from the foul line, jump up, and then you just go, oh shit. You run straight to the hoop because you're like, that might not go in. If you're one of those guys, then you know that you have no jump shot.
Yeah.
And he's one of those guys.
Yeah, definitely. Westbrook, yeah. Although I would say Westbrook, even though they've both won MVPs now, Westbrook and Rose, I think I would take Westbrook over prime Derrick Rose.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would, man. Westbrook, I'm not a fan of Westbrook, but
I love his aggression.
Yeah, I watched every game of OKC. I'm following, obviously, my boy Melo, and I watched every game, and you know, he is impressive. His athleticism is ridiculous.
Don't get me wrong.
And you know, Derrick Rose was good as well, very good.
Yeah.
But I don't know, something about Westbrook. He's amazing.
My issue is because I watched a lot of the games last year because they kept showing them on TV.
Yeah.
It was always seemed to be OKC on every day.
Yeah.
And there was just a game during the playoffs. It was him and they were playing the Rockets. And it was just every offensive set down the court was just Harden, ISO, dribble, drive, dish, drive, layup, draw a foul, whatever. And then down the other end, it was exactly the same play. Like just Westbrook dribbling the air out of the ball. It's just like, this is shit to watch.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, I'm not a fan of his, but it is amazing at what he can do.
Oh, like I said, his athleticism is off
incredible.
the charts. Because for a guy that's only they say he's listed like 6'3" or 6'4", but he looks like he's 6'6", 6'7", because he plays so big, for his size. So and you got to love the aggression. Like I like someone that takes the game on. That's the reason why I always hated Paul Pierce, because he just looked like he wasn't trying. He looked like he had all the talent in the world, but he's just not trying. Sort of like Michael Beasley.
Sure, yeah. Well, sorry, but going back, sorry to cut you in, but Isaiah Thomas, going back to Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
When I was watching these little highlights before, it made me think. I actually saw his defense. I actually think I could probably beat him.
Yeah.
Oh, no, don't get me wrong. He'd be hard to stop.
Yeah.
But I don't think he could stop me one-on-one.
No, I don't think...
I think I could,
I don't think he could legitimately stop anyone in the NBA. The problem with, like, a lot of people point at, like, stats. Like, I had an argument with somebody on Twitter the other day about whether or not John Wall was a good player. I'm like, I don't really rate him that highly, because if you look how well the Wizards are playing without him, he's another shoot-first point guard that dribbles around. But it's like, but he gets 10 assists. It's like, that's misleading. And it doesn't mean he's a good player. Same thing, like Isaiah will get a lot of steals.
Yeah.
That's because he gambles a lot.
Yeah.
And so it's not necessarily like you can have 3, like Steph gets 3 steals a game.
Yeah.
But are you going to put Steph on someone late in the game to lock him down? I mean, we make fun of Kobe and, and Melo for being chuckers. But you watch that defense they played on each other in that, Western Conference Finals. And when the real superstars, when push comes to shove, they will put the clamps down on someone. But someone like Isaiah just doesn't have it. He couldn't put the clamps down if he wanted to.
That's
Steph
right.
couldn't put the clamps down if he wanted to. There's just guys that just aren't defenders.
Yeah.
And they're those kind of guys.
It is interesting that you said about the stats, because a lot of people will say Westbrook has padded his stats. And last year I was probably one of them. I was like, because he doesn't defend the 3 and stuff like that. But once again, watching him, get rebound, I'll give him a bit of credit, Like, I still think that's, he plays for triple-double. No, he plays for the win, but he definitely is going for the triple-double.
He's playing for stats as well. Yeah.
But at the same time, he does actually earn those stats. He's, He
never takes a night off. You always know whether he's having a stinking game or he's having a great game.
Yeah.
You know he's going to give you 100%, which is all you can really ask.
Oh, yeah. He's amazing like that. But, I'm curious to see the Isaiah Thomas, man. I remember when he signed up with Cleveland, and a lot of people were like, it can work, LeBron, and it didn't work.
Well, it's starting.
It did not work.
It's one of those things that, it rains, it pours.
Yeah.
And it's now coming to, I was listening to a bit of sports talk today, and now all the stories are starting to come out. It's just like, okay, well, maybe he had some issues with some of the locker room in Boston. Not everyone was that upset when he got traded. And then, hang on a tick, there was a problem back when he played for Sacramento, but everyone just naturally blamed it on Boogie, because everyone thought Boogie had the bad attitude and this and that. It was like, well, maybe it was Isaiah Thomas, maybe it's the reason why Phoenix was happy to get rid of him so easy. It's like, okay, it's one of those things where you start to add a few stories up, and I know it's bad to sort of, everyone piling in on him now that he's down on his luck, but it's like, well, maybe that's like he's been a shit bloke the whole time.
Maybe he's been a shit bloke. Yeah, maybe. And it will be interesting to see when season's up, like you said, his contract's up. He's going to want
exactly. Well,
$30 million.
At this stage, I mean, we shouldn't rag on him too much, because at this stage, there's an off chance he might actually have to just settle and sign for the Adelaide 36ers. So
yeah, that's right.
If he comes to play for us, IT, we love you. You can defend anybody. You're amazing.
Yeah, let's not cut off any ties yet.
Yeah, we shouldn't burn that bridge yet. Yeah. But all I'm saying is, if LeBron can take a bunch of blokes that he's just met to the finals this year, whether he wins or loses, I think that officially settles the argument. He's the best ever.
I think, it's like nowadays, like ESPN comes up with the craziest stats about LeBron. So they're just trying to boost him. He's so great.
Yeah.
He's so great. But
it's the weird ESPN stat thing. It's like me and my friend Dylan always talk about it all the time. It's like they'll always come up with some random stat that, he's scored the highest amount of points for anyone at 34 years of age on a Thursday in Boston. It's like, where did you pull that random bullshit from?
They just want to hype him, and I feel like that's you. I feel like it's like, if this time, he can pick this guy and he's the best ever.
Yeah.
I think, let's just wait till he finishes his career.
Yep.
Let's just wait, because I feel Jordan, I think a lot of people forget how good he was. And let's give LeBron 5 years after retirement when the next guy, when Giannis is killing it, and everyone will be like, Giannis is definitely the best.
Or
Fuck
even
LeBron.
the kids coming through this year's draft, which look pretty special as well.
Right.
Yeah.
So let's just give him his career because he's unbelievable. I feel like we ruin the fun of watching him play now because we keep comparing him, should I say.
Yeah.
So, anyway, we'll see. Let's see how he goes. I don't think he's not getting through the semi-finals. I don't think he's getting to the conference finals.
Ooh.
That's my... Oh, yeah, I should say that.
This
is my call. LeBron's Cleveland Cavaliers do not get to the Eastern Conference Finals this year.
So who's the Eastern Conference Finals?
Well, I'm definitely putting Boston in there.
Yeah. I'm very high on Boston.
Yeah, it's just... Where does Cleveland end? Do they finish third or fourth? If they finish fourth, then they're going to come up against Boston.
Yeah.
If they finish third, then they'll probably play against Toronto, and I reckon, they might. That's a 50-50 for me.
Yeah.
But, I'm just going to put it out there. I don't think they're making the conference finals.
Well, that's a big call, Steve.
Let alone the NBA finals.
And who have you got coming out of the West? Obviously, Warriors. Well, I think the Western Conference Finals is going to be Warriors and Houston.
You think? Yeah. I think Spurs are done. I think that
especially without Kawhi.
Yeah, I don't know what
the thing is. But what's done? They make the playoffs every year.
Well, what I mean done is that they're not a title contender.
They're not a title contender. No. This year they're making it.
I'm still, I've still got hope for,
Hey, OKC keep beating the Warriors.
They do.
I just think over 7 games, they'll self-destruct.
Yeah. Well, they've beat them twice now by average of 20,
and they're currently losing to the Lakers.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. Yeah, they're playing today, but there's no Melo and there's no Westbrook today.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. So anyway.
Well, there's just 2 more points I just want to make on the NBA before we move on. Number 1, very, very happy to see Dwayne Wade going home.
Yes,
back
that's
to
cool.
Miami. That's a really cool thing. Very happy with that. He deserves to be there. He deserves to retire there. He would have been one of those guys that would have signed the 1-day contract to retire a heat. But I'm glad he's just gone back, and Pat Riley's accepted him because Pat Riley's the greatest, GM person involved with basketball ever.
Yeah.
And I really, really want one of those Miami Vice jerseys. Those alternate ones they've been wearing this year, the neon ones, the neon blue and pink ones.
Right. And I don't follow many Miami games, to be honest with you.
Look up their neon. Everyone's got a town jersey.
Yes,
it's got like a Miami Vice sort of jersey. Okay. And just to get one of those with Dwayne Wade, because otherwise I would have had to get, I don't know, like Hassan Whiteside.
Yeah.
And number 2, if Ben Simmons doesn't get his fucking respect, I'm going to lose it. I'm considering boycotting the All-Star game because after the Porzingis went down as well.
Yeah.
They just selected Kemba Walker to replace him instead of Simmons.
Yeah.
Simmons is having one of the best years, like just for a player, let alone a rookie. He deserves, like his stats alone, he should be in there over Kemba Walker. And his stats alone, he should be in there over Kyle Lowry. It's ridiculous. And he's taken a team that didn't even sniff was like bottom feeder last year. They got the number 1 pick, for fuck's sake. And they're a playoff team. He's had a lot to do with Embiid. Embiid doesn't play every game.
No,
Simmons
that's
does.
Yeah.
So
he's not getting picked. Well, look, he's had like 7 chances now. There's so many injuries this year.
It's ridiculous. Do they just not want a rookie in there? Or?
I think so, mate. It seems to be something. Yeah. But the coaches pick the reserves, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So maybe, I don't know.
It's just bizarre.
It is bizarre because he's having a great year. I can't explain it.
Just shout out to a politician that did a big rant about it.
That's right. Yeah, was it some senator or something?
It needs to be mentioned. I mean, there's a lot of things that need to fix in this country, but more importantly, we need to get Ben Simmons in the All-Star game. But anyway, Steve.
Yes.
I'm going to get to the important topic for today because this is something that you brought up for me. I obviously went into business for myself and started talking about the NBA. But tell me about your little foray onto IMDb the other day.
Isn't it funny when the internet takes you? It's all like, I don't know what... Actually, no, I'll tell you.
You're probably looking up like a recipe for pancakes. Because I've done the same thing. You look up one thing and then all of a sudden I'm researching on IMDb. I'm like, hang on a tick, I was on YouTube a minute ago.
Isn't that mental? That's hilarious. Yeah, I can't remember what I think it was. I was looking at Ghostbusters for some reason. I don't know, but and that's like Dan Aykroyd, John Candy, Saturday Night Live, Chevy Chase, Eddie Murphy. I just went through it, and I was just like, anyway. So I ended up on Eddie Murphy, and I was like, I haven't heard much about Eddie recently.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure what he's up to. So I clicked on his link, and he's got a few films coming up.
Yeah. in the works.
In the works, announced, pre-production, yada yada yada. And I'll go. I think there's 4 of them.
Yep.
So there's one. It's like a Richard Pryor. I don't know if it's like a biopic kind of thing, but I reckon that'd be pretty cool.
Makes sense. He was his hero.
Yeah. So the guy from Friday, the second Friday, I think he might be playing Richard Pryor.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Then the second film was Beverly Hills Cop 4.
Righto.
Okay, so that was being talked about for years and years and years. But after Beverly Hills Cop 3...
Yeah, Beverly Hills Cop 3 was pretty shitty. But
it was average.
But it was one of those things that's a sort of character, okay, you could kind of make a good nostalgia flick.
Yeah.
But yeah. What else
Well, I think he's going to be like he's going to have a son.
Yeah.
Who's a cop.
That's what they always do. It's now the son.
Yeah, and then he's or he's got a young brash partner, that kind of thing. The third one was, which I've got a lot of interest in, is Coming to America 2.
Now, I'm very excited for Coming to America 2.
Yeah.
From what I've heard, it's going to be Kevin Hart and Michael B. Jordan, who I'm huge rap for.
Yeah.
They're really, really good.
So that could be good, because Coming to America is one of the funniest films of all time. So
I would... Oh, it's a big call, but I'd almost go on to say it's his funniest one.
His funniest? Yeah. It'd be
Eddie
up there.
Murphy's funniest.
Yeah.
Obviously, We Love Life, because it's funny, but it's just, that's a movie that we just love. It's feel good, it's great, everything. But as far as just straight humour,
Laughs.
Coming to America is
up there.
It's up there.
But it's one of my all-time favourites anyway.
Yeah.
So that's it. So I'm more intrigued than excited. I was, excited for other remake. Anyway, the other film, this is the one that got me going. This is why I had to get on the phone to text old Spears. It was called Triplets.
Yeah.
I was like, Triplets? That's it. Straight away, I was like, hang on a second. What the hell is this even about? Triplets.
Yeah.
I click on the link, and I look at the cast, and who do I see on the cast?
Well, Eddie Murphy.
Is obviously Eddie Murphy. And then the greatest action star of all time, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yep.
And Danny DeVito.
Yeah.
And then I put 2 and 2 together. I was like, this is not a sequel to the Twins.
Yep.
Do a bit of research. It's a fucking sequel to the Twins, man. Like, they can't be serious, man.
We were just discussing it off there. The thing that gets me about that is that movie was funny. Like, Twins was funny because it was Arnold in peak shape.
Oh, yeah.
And Danny DeVito being Danny DeVito. Now, Arnold's still in good shape, but it's not quite as funny with like a 60-year-old dude that's in shape as, because he's not as big as he was. He's still in great shape, but he's not as big. But it's like, I don't get where the comedy's going to come from there, unless they've all got kids.
Well, the story behind it, it's called Triplets. So was it like, did they just not mention him in the first Twins film? How are they even going to bring this up? How's Eddie Murphy possibly a triplet to these 2 other guys? I don't know. And so I looked into it. Arnie's like, yeah, it's going to happen. We're all talking about it. We're excited. Kid. So I had to ask. But I said, dude, what is, not the first time, we're not breaking ground here, but what is up with all these remakes, man? Or sequels? Unnecessary, terrible.
Unnecessary sequel. We went into the action movie sequels, and like I said, we had the 2.5 movie rule.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know what you're talking about. We've sort of briefly touched on it before, but the remakes are what get me. If a movie's great, it should be great. Leave it alone.
That's right.
There's only a few times where it's sort of, I can understand they've made a second movie, which is the same sort of story, and it's gotten better. Now, one of the prime examples is that because they're actually thinking of making another version coming out, I think, this year or next year, and everyone was up in arms about it, and that's Scarface.
Oh, you're kidding me.
They're making a new Scarface, which is going to be set in LA based around the weed trade. Now...
Not connected to the other Scarface.
Not connected to the first one. Now, this is the bit that gets me. That everyone's just like, oh, you can't remake Scarface, it's a classic, just leave it alone, blah, blah, blah. Now, the Scarface that everyone knows is actually a remake.
Sure.
There was a movie in the 50s called Scarface about Prohibition.
50s don't count.
Doesn't matter.
Man.
It's still the same. This is the 80s, or the 80s to now. 30 years.
I get that.
But people sometimes have limited memory, so I think they try to cash in on that by, let's just do the same thing again. So that's where, it's been 30 years since they made these movies.
But why don't they just call it something else? Why can't they just call it...
Point Break.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to... They're calling it Scarface because they're hoping people will buy it because of Scarface, right?
Yeah.
if if it's truly its own story and stuff, call it fucking, I don't know what did Homer call the football Stitch Face? Call it fucking something else. That call it. It's like Point Break. Now I don't know if you've seen it.
I haven't seen the new one.
I never watched it. Yeah, because I love fucking Point Break.
Yeah,
I love it. I've got a large list of favorite films.
Anyone our age loves Point Break.
It's brilliant
because it was so good. It was cheesy. It was action. It was bromance. Yeah,
it was everything, man, and I loved it. And they made this. And when I was watching the shorts for it, I was like, it doesn't even look like, other than the characters called Bodie and fucking.
Yeah. No, but it's not even Johnny Utah. It's just Bodie.
Oh,
they only kept the Bodie character.
What's the point then?
I don't get.
They could have called it anything else.
If they had 2 new character names, it would have been fine.
Right.
But to name one of them still Bodie.
Yeah.
That irked
What's
me.
the point? And one that has gone well though, and so you kind of turns rule what I'm arguing about is the Adam Sandler football film. The Longest Yard.
Yeah.
Burt Reynolds did one.
But that was a fun sort of...
It was.
That wasn't like, we're trying to make something that's really cool and stuff like that. It was just like, look at the cast. It's a whole bunch of comedians and wrestlers and a couple of
Burt Reynolds.
players. Yeah, exactly.
No,
so they all got a say in there.
Yeah.
So that one there, it wasn't meant to be serious. It's Adam Sandler, never to be taken serious. And it's just, it was fun.
Totally relevant though.
Yeah.
Totally relevant.
But you gotta think, at least, we were talking before about Point Break.
Yes.
And it had been remade already before they did the whole actual name Point Break, and that was the Fast and Furious. The first Fast and the Furious is a blatant rip-off of Point Break, but that's cool because they made it its own film. Even though it's the same thing, they made it its own film.
Yeah,
and they just changed the name. Changed the characters, changed the name, but pretty much told the same story. I'm good with that.
Okay.
In the same way.
Well, I didn't even make the connection, so it must have been done enough.
But then when I pointed it out to you, it's the undercover agent. He has to get into some subculture that's really cool and stuff like that. It's exactly the same. Yeah. The same way that Die Hard got remade 100 times.
Yeah.
They did Die Hard. They did Maximum Velocity. They did Sudden Death. They did all these.
Oh, the Van Damme one.
Yeah, they did all these other versions of Die Hard, like Under Siege. And they just did all these Die Hards that weren't named Die Hard. And they've just, I just showed you the trailer for Skyscraper coming out with The Rock. It's like, it's a man trying to save his family from a giant building.
Yeah.
How we
make it... a Japanese guy by the looks of it.
Exactly, yeah, and some European terrorists coming.
Yeah, I know.
How can we make it different? It's got The Rock in it. Give him a prosthetic leg. It's like, there's even the bit where he's hanging upside down from a bit of rope outside the windows in the trailer. It's like, oh, come on, man. Could you not find another story? Just like, nah.
No, it was funny you mentioned Die Hard because I watched the first 5 minutes of Die Hard 4.0.
Yep.
And I never watched the other Die Hard.
Yeah.
Once again, those films... they had a trilogy.
Yeah.
And it was so good.
And there was even a fair break between Die Hard 2
it was,
with A Vengeance. So,
Could they have just made a different Bruce Willis film with a... I'm assuming it wasn't the same writers who wrote...
Well, the problem is Bruce Willis has lost some of his luster.
Right.
So you probably could have, back in the day, made another Bruce Willis film. They did make a few other ones. What was the one I watched the other night? I love it. The one with... the one with it was not Marlon Wayans, with Damon Wayans.
Damon Wayans.
Last Boy Scout.
Oh, how good's Last Boy Scout?
Great movie.
Yeah, it's great.
It's very similar sort of character, a bit darker than John McClane, but very similar character.
Sure.
And that was a great film, they should have just done something like that, but they just went, no, we'll just keep pumping out Die Hards. It's like, oh, stop, no, 3 was good.
And it's like the Terminator, man. They brought out 5, 6 of them, and now I think James Cameron's got the rights back to them, so he's talking about making a whole new fucking Terminator.
The thing is, I hate when they start doing that, let's just bring the son involved.
Yeah.
It's my son that's doing it. It's like, it's a bit, the only one that I'm actually looking forward to, even though I'm worried, I'm a little bit hesitant, but the first one was so good that I'm going to give the second one a shot, is Creed.
Oh, yeah.
They're bringing out Creed 2.
Yeah.
Where Creed, who is Apollo's son, is going to fight Drago's son.
Oh, no. What the fuck?
It's like, this could be really good, or it could be really shit.
Well, yeah, Stallone's a good writer.
Stallone,
He's a very good writer.
It's every movie kind of follows. It's almost like, watch Ric Flair wrestling. You're going to get the same match over and over again, But it's gonna be entertaining.
Yeah, it's still gonna be good. That's
You know,
right.
you're gonna get a base level of entertainment. You go
Yeah.
into a Stallone movie, you're not expecting.
It's at least a 6, no matter what,
Yeah,
right?
no matter just by rocking up, you know, you're like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna walk out not too disappointed, you know, but it's not gonna be great. You
Yeah.
know, like you even enjoyed Cliffhanger, and that was terrible.
Yeah.
And I even enjoyed Daylight, and that was terrible.
Yeah, that was
but
great.
because it was him, you know.
What
it's
about
just
Stop
sort of-
Your Mum Will Shoot? Did you like that one?
I think maybe that dipped to a 4.
Yeah.
But Estelle Getty, you know, she had her moments.
Yeah.
She was good in Golden Girls.
I think Stallone was saying it once. He was saying something like, yeah, he blames Schwarzenegger for that.
Yeah.
Because his agent's like, look, man, if you don't take it, Schwarzenegger will.
Yeah, and you got to do a comedy because Arnold's doing comedies
Yeah,
now. It's
yeah.
like, ugh.
That's fucking hilarious.
Now
oh, sorry, go on.
Where do you go on the remakes now? That because this is the one you were looking up. But
Yeah.
How do you go on your remakes of like something like Ghostbusters?
See, now, once again, so I might be a little bit unfair on this, but I never watched the new one.
Yep.
The all girls cast.
Yep.
I think because this is how I started down this whole fucking path. I was looking at Ghostbusters and I was reading up on it, and they actually written Ghostbusters 3 a long time ago.
Yep.
And it just kept getting stopped and not being made, and then Egon died.
Yeah.
You know, 5-10 years ago or something like that. So they rewrote it, and then Bill Murray's like, no, it's a piece. You know, it's not worth it. So they're not making it, but the studio is like, we want to make it. It's worth, you know, 500 million.
Yeah.
You know, we want to make it. And then some genius comes up with the idea of,
Let's just make it all women.
let's make it women. Let's make a gimmick. And that might be unfair saying it's a gimmick, but
There is some gimmick to it.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like
right.
It's like if it was just we remade Ghostbusters and then you watch it and it just happens to be all women, you'd be like, right, cool.
Yeah.
But the fact it was so highly advertised it was going to be all women.
That's right.
It's just like we're inclusive. We like, you know, women, you know, female films, female roles. I mean, I know you've seen Red Sonja.
Yeah, sure, okay. Yeah,
That was essentially, you know, trying to make Conan the Barbarian, but with a female lead.
Yeah.
We still all watched it.
Yeah.
It was a good movie. I'm all for it. I mean, that was back in the 80s.
Yeah.
But still, it's like, I'm not against the female leads. You know, I've seen all those, you know, Miss Congeniality and, you know, the other one that she did, The Heat, with Sandra Bullock and the, what's the name, girl? From
McCartney?
Yeah, Melissa McCartney.
Yeah.
And that was funny too. That was
Okay.
good. Like like I said, I like those movies. You know, it's not the fact that it's females, I'm not going to watch it. It's just because Ghostbusters is sort of sacred.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need, and in the same way that I don't like the idea of that. Apparently, they're going to be like, it always gets thrown around every now and then. Oh, we're going to make James Bond a female. It's like, doesn't quite work with James Bond purely because I mean, you go back to some of those early films with like the Sean Connery ones. He's very misogynistic, you know, and it's sort of like one of the characters, like he smacks a lot of women in the first. Like everyone goes on about how good Sean Connery was as Bond. Go back and watch them, and there's a lot of backhands to women's cheeks. You know, like so maybe you might not think as highly of old Jimmy Bond.
Jimmy Bond.
If you go back and watch Jim, like backhand a few birds, you may not have as high an idea of him.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm all for changing characters. Like things don't have to be cut and dry. You know, and they said after Daniel Craig, one of the people they were looking at for James Bond was Idris Elba from The Wire and stuff like that. And like, oh, it's gonna be a black James Bond. It's like, mate, who cares?
Yeah.
Because James Bond is James Bond. If he's smooth, he's smooth. He can play the character. He could do that. I would have no issue with that.
Yeah.
You know, and it's just that sometimes when you're taking like iconic male character and trying to make it female just to be inclusive.
Yeah.
If you have a good idea, a good story behind it, not just trying to create it has to be a girl now, then it's fine. But if you're just doing it for the sake of doing it, then just to make it, you know, we need a female role now. It's just like, there's other roles, you know, and you can do it better. Make a fresh character.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, like they did, like I was going to bring up, because we talk about unnecessary sequels. The one person I'm sort of wrapped about that doesn't make unnecessary sequels, but ties his movies together is Quentin Tarantino.
Oh, yeah.
So if you always look at, like, he created his own female lead character with Kill Bill. And it was incredible. And it was 2 movies out of that.
Yeah.
And they were really, really good.
Brilliant.
And he made the Death Proof, which was the stunt car one, which was sort of the Grindhouse film. And all the leads in that, the heroes, are a team of girls. It's like, if you do it, you can do it properly. You don't have to force feed it. You can just organically make it. They don't have to be just damsel in distress all the time, but you don't have to force it. You know, you can do it a right way. And he always did that really, really well. And he ties it, like I said, if you listen to the story that Uma Thurman tells in Pulp Fiction about the pilot she was on, You know, she's going to be on a TV show that went to pilot and stuff like that. She explains it.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Fox Force 5.
Yes.
And you explain it, and then you listen to what Kill Bill, and it's a team of female assassins. It's the same story.
Yeah,
He's just kept that same story instead of making a prequel or a sequel. You know, and like he's just made the same, same premise. He's taken his ideas from before and just turned them into fresh movies.
Yeah. What's your view on prequels anyway? Do you like the prequels, Spee?
No, they're fucking shit.
Yeah, I know.
Have you seen a good one?
No. Actually, no. I did like the. I know you've seen it. The Star Wars Rogue One story. I know you haven't.
I haven't seen that one because I like girls.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. But Star Wars Rogue One, which was sort of like, it was sort of like after the prequels, before the original, is how she got the Death Star plans. That was pretty cool. Yeah. It was very cool. Actually, I enjoyed that film.
Yeah. I might have to give that one a go because I've been told I will enjoy that one.
Yeah,
I've been told maybe the most recent Star Wars I might not enjoy.
No, that sucks. Yeah,
but
that's not good.
I've been told that I would enjoy Rogue One.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Star Wars, now I just saw something the other day where they're already making another trilogy.
Yeah.
So they got Han Solo at the end of this year, which is like a pick on him. Then
that's another prequel.
And by the way, talking about does it have to be done? And don't get me wrong, I'm sure the story is great, but Han Solo was great because of Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
That dude is one of the coolest dudes of all time in Hollywood. And he made Han Solo. You can't just chuck some pencil neck geek and put him in a fucking black leather vest
and make him Han Solo.
No way,
it's a tough gig to do. There's some characters that just cannot be redone. You know, comic book characters, there's a bit more leeway. You know, like everyone had a crack at Batman.
Yeah.
And two of them have done it really well. And three blokes have had a crack at the Joker so far, and one of them absolutely knocked it out of the park. But it's just, with those sorts of characters, established characters, they're from comic books. I mean, I understand Star Wars, a bit comic booky, sort of same sort of realm, but, it was only ever played by one guy for so long.
Yeah.
It's so hard. It's like if they just did Indiana Jones again now and try to get someone else. It's just Harrison Ford made those characters. They made him his own.
That's right.
You can't just do, this is his son.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So they made a Han Solo one. They've got the last of the original, like the 9 film series. The one is the final fucking epic finale. That's going to come out in March next year. But Disney, who've now bought Star Wars for a gazillion dollars, are like, fuck, we are going to make
we're going to make the money back,
And they've already, so they got one trilogy happening with some other writer, and then the other day they're like, the people who wrote Game of Thrones, they're going to start their own Star Wars project.
Ugh.
So we're going to have Star Wars each and every year for the next 20 years.
Righto.
And hey, you know what?
Is it going to be like the Fast and Furious movies where everyone gets a chance to be the bad guy?
Well, man, I have no idea. I'm hoping for the Star Wars thing is that because the first 9 films, they're all about pretty much the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
The Skywalkers, the original Anakin and Luke, and then now all the shit's going on now. It'd be killer to have a Star Wars story which happens like either many, many years before any of this shit went down. Yep. It might be a whole new different threat. Maybe galaxies that they haven't even been to before. Yeah, that would be, it's a whole new fresh Luke, Darth Vader. I'm losing you, aren't I?
You lost me. You lost me a while ago there. I just don't know why you need so much fantasy stuff.
That's all I get. I don't really watch much other fantasy stuff.
Yeah,
I don't think.
other than wrestling.
Wrestling's cool, right? No,
it was at one stage, or maybe we just thought we were cool.
Yeah,
it's the kids. They're the ones that are out of touch. Yeah. But okay, so that's going to be it. Other than that, there's not really much else to talk about as far as these sort of movies. If you guys want to write in and let us know if we've missed anything, because we miss a lot. We record this pretty quickly, and then afterwards we go, shit. So send something on the Facebook. And while we're on the Facebook too, guys, hit the link for the new Ozcast Network link, because that's where you're going to have to unsubscribe from the old channel on iTunes and resubscribe on the new one through the Ozcast Network link. Because we had a few people send me messages during the week, thanks to Benny and Michael, that did update me and let me know if you guys want to keep listening to the show, because we are putting them out every week, even though they are 40 minutes of useless. But tune into the new channel. You need to go through the Ozcast Network. And speaking of which, do remember to check out AdelaidePodcastFestival.com.au. We have the festival event on the 27th, 28th of February at the Elephant. We will be there, me and Steve.
Yeah, I finally got my invitation.
Yep.
It actually had someone else's name written originally and then scrubbed out.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Steve written next to it.
That's a really funny joke when you have a name written down and scrub it out and put someone else's name in there. Sort of like when it happens in fucking...
It's happened before.
In MacGruber.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's because you were gay and they changed it because that's a funny joke.
No, it wasn't that. It was gay and that was funny. It was... Man, you missed it, man. Look, I think we need to watch it again.
No,
so we need to watch it again.
Actually, speaking of which, it's not even an unnecessary sequel. It's not a prequel. But I want everyone to vote in. So just put a yes or a no under the link for this for this episode. Do you want Steve to watch Notting Hill?
Oh, Notting Hill.
Vote yes for yes, no for no. If we get, I don't know, if you
get one yes,
if we get one yes, he's watching it. But I think I sat through that steaming pile that was MacGruber's. Like Steve needs to sit through the cinematic genius that is Notting Hill. So remember to change the link, guys. Ozcast Network. Check out their website. Come to the festival. Come say hi. Come have a beer with us. And yeah, remember to vote yes for Steve watching Notting Hill because I reckon we'll get a pretty good show out of that one. But that's going to be us for this week, guys. For Speed Carolina saying goodbye. For Steve Burrows.
See you later.
We'll speak to you next week. Peace.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast Network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.